I wouldn't say this is the worst my scrap collection has been, but it's up there. So I'm going to be making a scrap cart to help organize all of this. I'll be using a lot of plywood to make this cart, so it gave me a perfect opportunity to try out this plywood cart I made in my last video. And yes, it really helped a lot. This made ripping down plywood so much easier, so I'm really happy with how this has been working. So I'm ripping about a foot off this sheet because I'm ripping out a 3-foot piece for the base. I'm making a frame for the base out of 2x4s, and I'm keeping the 2x4s flipped up to help span across the 8-foot distance. I'm pre-drilling and screwing everything together, and later on I'll screw the plywood base to the frame. I'm adding some additional supports here to help span the 8-foot distance, but I'm making sure to attach them to the wheel bracing to help strengthen up those points since all the weight is going to be sitting there. Now the frame of the base is assembled, so I just did a quick test by standing on it just to make sure at least one of the boards by themselves would hold my weight, and I figured in that case, it would probably be strong enough once the plywood helps span the weight across all the boards. With the plywood screwed to the frame, the base is now complete. So I did a quick test and then moved on to making the dividers. Now the dividers are used to split up common size boards so I can quickly access them, so like a 1x4, 1x6, 1x8, etc. So I ripped out a 12-inch piece and I'm just cutting an angle so that the front will be roughly a foot high and then the back will be 3 feet high. With all of the dividers cut out, I have to assemble them somehow, so I'm cutting out a face for all of the dividers using another 12-inch piece so it'll be the same height as the front. And then I just went along and I pre-marked out all the locations I want to line up dividers just so I have enough space to perfectly fit like a common 1x4, 1x6, like what I listed before. I moved on to pre-drilling all of the holes in the face, just to make sure I wouldn't have to worry about that later while trying to assemble everything. And then I moved on to the pocket hole jig. I'm taking all the dividers and I'm adding pocket holes to these. These are going to help hold the whole thing to the base, but this isn't my only way of holding the dividers to the base. I'll have some other boards that'll help add strength too. You'll see what I mean later. But then I moved on to actually assembling the whole thing, just screwing all the dividers into the places I marked out and pre-drilled in the face. Next I moved on to adding the middle divider for the entire cart, so this is what's going to split up board storage and then panel storage on the back of it. Here's where I'm attaching the base using those pocket screws. Once again, just to point out, this isn't going to be the only way this is adding strength here, because the pocket screws by themselves, I wouldn't trust those to hold the leverage of all of the boards leaning up against the back of this. But after that, I moved on to making the side storage. I got two different storage units I'm going to be making here. The first one, I'm making just standard shelves. And I'm really not getting fancy with this. It's pretty basic. I'm just ripping a bunch of boards down to the same size, and I'm just screwing everything together straight through. I'm really not concerned about adding dados or anything for extra strength. I really didn't think that was necessary. With the shelf complete, I attach it to the left side of the cart, and I'm attaching this to the base first using pocket screws once I get it all lined up. And after these pocket screws, I also attached it to the middle divider just to try to get everything to be one solid unit to really help strengthen up everything. On the other side, I made this dowel and rod storage unit. I really didn't want to show the process for this because it's the same as the shelves except one shelf short, and I drilled a bunch of holes. It's really that simple. But after that, I added some 2x4s to the back. I'm adding additional support here for taller boards, because the middle divider is only 4 feet tall, so if I have boards that are 6, 7, or 8 feet tall on this, I want enough support higher up for those. But before I add the cross braces, while I have it turned around, I added a panel stopper here. Because this backside, this is where panels are going to go, so I just added a 2x4 on the bottom, so the panels can't kick out on the bottom. The last thing I had to do is flip this around and add the cross supports for the taller boards. These are 1x4s, so these will be flush with the middle divider. And after I attached all of those dividers, that was finally it. I was done, so I could move this over to my storage area and start cleaning everything up.